Hi everyone, Dr. Tracy here, and this is Computer Science 3, Fall Semester 2020. I hope you're enjoying it so far. I'm here to give you a little orientation about how you use Canvas and what you can expect from this class. So you've got this far, so you've gotten on Canvas, you've probably seen this screen that we're looking at right now. And on this screen, you have some links to things that will be important to you, as well as some links to the content of the things we're going to cover. So we will start with right here where it says welcome to Compsci 3. Here is a quick link to how to get into contact with me. Email's the best way. I'm usually around my computer or my phone, so I get email pretty regularly. Sometimes I might not be able to respond right away, so please allow 24 hours. And maybe more on the weekends. I've given you my phone number, but that's for voicemail only because I'm not going to be at my phone. But if you'd like to leave a message, I do check my voicemail about once a day or so. I am going to schedule some class meetings during the week using Zoom. These will not be mandatory because this is an asynchronous online class, meaning you don't have a scheduled time where we have to meet. So I will schedule some meetings and I will give you that information, and that way you can attend if you are willing and if you are able. And I will post the recordings of those meetings for those that are interested and can't attend. If you want to meet with me directly, you can schedule a one-on-one Zoom meeting with me. Just let me know. Send me an email for that one. Let's take a look at the syllabus for this class. This class is computer architecture and organization. So the main focus of this class is to understand how a computer works, basically. We go over things like numerical computation and electricity and data representation and machine language and assembly language and some of the things to get you thinking about the way that it works. We're going to start off by talking about how a computer works and its architecture, and then we're going to get into some of the basic things like Boolean algebra and logic gates and circuits to describe how the hardware works. Then we'll get into programming and assembly, which is a very basic language to talk to the computer directly. In this class, there are 3 tests and 7 projects. The text is free and it's online. Now, if you take a look at this text, you'll see it says ARM assembly language using Raspberry Pi. Well, we are probably not going to require a Raspberry Pi. I do encourage you to buy a Raspberry Pi, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But you can see as you go through the book where it says setting up your Raspberry Pi, we're going to talk about what you can do instead if you don't have a Raspberry Pi. However, I strongly suggest, well, I think that it is very useful to have a Raspberry Pi, especially when learning this assembly language, because it has a smaller register, which means you have less instructions. I'm going to talk about this more, but just so you know, right now, this does say using Raspberry Pi. We're going to kind of skip around a bit and not do all the Raspberry Pi stuff right away. And then I'm going to show you where I think you can get one. And if you can't get one, I'm going to give you options. So that's the plan as it stands right now. And we'll see how that works. The grading scale is based on a standard scale where 90% is an A, 80% is a B, and so forth. And the schedule for the class is listed here. This is a tentative schedule, and I reserve the right to change it as things come up or if I want to spend more time. You see on here I have announcements. I've sent out a welcome announcement, or no, I have not yet. I will send out a welcome announcement. Just each week I'm going to send you an announcement with what you need to do and what's going on. There's also an assignment section, and you can see that this Project 0 is coming up soon. Grades, people, and chat. Let's look at the home page again. Along the right is a to-do list, and the to-do list usually lets you know where you are and what you need to get done. And you can always check the schedule to find out what's going on this week. This week, it says Introduction to Class. And if I click on Introduction to Class, it's going to take me to this Chapter 1 section where you could get started on thinking about how a computer works. There's an outline of information to read. There's also a video I'd like you to watch. And there's some resources that I'd like you to read in addition to the information out of your book. There's 2 activities we'll start to work on, but they aren't going to be due for a bit. The first one is to create a brief presentation to explain the following. How does a computer work? How does the CPU work? How does the CPU interact with memory? How does the CPU execute programs? Use pictures and diagrams to explain this process. And, that should not say that. You pictures and diagrams to explain the process and a brief explanation. If you use any sources outside, then you should cite your sources and where you got that information. So that's going to be the first assignment for this course, is to create this, how a CPU works. I'm going to send a little bit more information about that, but you could get started, if you like, by reading Chapter 1 and the resources that are provided in that section. So if you take a look at the schedule on here, the schedule shows that we're working on this and this introduction to computer hardware. So that first assignment of how a CPU works will be based on this information here. So read through this and then just describe in your own words, creating like a PowerPoint presentation or something to say how a CPU works. This video is a great video. Please make sure that you review that before you do the assignment. In addition, please make sure that you take a look at expectations and resources here. The expectations are that you will stay in the course, and if you decide not to be in the course anymore, that you will do the appropriate stuff to drop it. I'm not going to drop you. Also, that late work is not accepted. And also, if you read this section, just know that it means that I expect you to behave appropriately and to have academic integrity by not plagiarizing. Please read through this. It'll just make sure you understand what I expect of you. I've also included a section called Resources, and in that section you can find support. And sometimes it's very difficult to find support, especially in an online environment. But just so you know, down here on the side, there is a student support hub. And in that student support hub, you can find links to online counseling, the Success Center, the library, advising, and Career Center, and all that. So these are good places to go if you need some help. Take a look at the student support hub. In addition to that, I've given you a number of links that might be interesting to you, or something that you want to participate in, or something that might be helpful to you, such as how to access DPS, or how to get into the honors program. Take a look at those resources and tell me if you have any questions, if there's anything I can do. Our website changed recently, so a lot of these links are new links. Go visit and see what you think. That's about it for the introduction and orientation of the class. Be expecting to hear more from me, but for the time being, get started on reading Chapter 1, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great semester.